I'm Sandy Denning and I'm the Executive Officer for Isle of Anti-Cancer Association. We've been on the island for over 60 years. We're the oldest cancer charity on the island, and over that time we've disbursed over £22 million on island and off island. So today we would like to raise ovarian cancer awareness, and Gill Cole has joined me to tell her story. So in the UK, every year over 7,400 ladies are diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and because it's so difficult to diagnose, it's sometimes called the silent killer. So knowing the signs and symptoms is absolutely critical and crucial for good survival. So we wanted Jill to tell her story, to get it out there and make young women, older women aware of the dangers really. So over to you, Jill.
Hi, I'm Gill Cole. I was diagnosed in October 2020 with ovarian cancer, which was the biggest shock of my life. Smack bang in the middle of a pandemic, and this has dropped on you, and it was just like, just a reality check. And from being in Noble's Hospital and them diagnosing me and waiting to go for the operation in Liverpool, because I had to go in December 2020 to Liverpool Women's Ladies Hospital, and they did a total radical hysterectomy on me, removed my spleen, and I really didn't have any of the classic symptoms that you would expect to have with ovarian cancer, such as bloating, pains in your stomach. I was very lethargic, very tired, but I was doing fitness 3 times a week, and it wasn't until I got to the point where I could go no further. I hit a brick wall and I thought, I'm just exhausted, and that's what put me to the doctors. And of course, when they did the blood tests, the results came back and the CA125 marker was raised, which is a marker in your blood that can indicate ovarian cancer. But here we are, fast forward to May 2022. I've been through 6 rounds of chemotherapy, which seems to have been very successful. I finished that in September 2021. I now take a tablet called letrozole every day, which is a suppressant to the estrogen in my body, which then stops the cancer growing, hopefully. And my last review with Clatterbridge was, we'll see you in 6 months, go and live your life. So it isn't all doom and gloom, but you must be aware of what is going on in your body. That's the main thing. And also be aware that a cervical smear test does not detect ovarian cancer, which is one of those things you think you go for that every 5 years and you think you're great, until you turn around and you say to the doctor in the hospital, but I haven't missed a smear, and he goes, a smear doesn't pick it up. So that's another thing that everybody needs to be aware of.
Also, Jill, I think that that the symptoms of ovarian are so vague that when ladies are going to the doctor when they're not feeling so good, and they tell them that how they're feeling, sometimes it's not always picked up as ovarian, and many times the lady will come out thinking she's got irritable bowel syndrome. So unfortunately you have to really sort of look at the symptoms. So the 4 main symptoms are bloating, stomach pain, going to the loo more often for a wee, and struggling to eat. I think I remember you saying you had a bit of heartburn, didn't you?
Heartburn.
Yes.
And also, when you look back on things and you think about it, lower left side of my stomach, right down the bottom here, it was like when I'd eaten, I'd have like an ache there,
like a stitch.
Yeah, well, that kind of feeling. Yeah. So it was kind of like you would just fob that off as something or nothing.
Yeah.
But when I explained that to the doctor, he said, "Oh, bloating," and I thought that is not something I would have described as bloating at all. But that's that for me was down the left side, and I could definitely remember thinking, oh yeah, when I was eating, that was it. And I mean, I had a very healthy appetite, but it did shrink quite dramatically. My appetite did, but I was doing fitness, I was losing weight, so I was thinking, no, I'm losing weight because I'm doing well on my fitness, and I just thought, oh, my stomach's just shrinking, I don't, but I didn't actually know anything about ovarian cancer, the symptoms and what would occur, and it was just like a bolt from the blue. Yeah, so it's, yeah.
I think with IBS, symptoms can come and go. With ovarian cancer, your symptoms will be there on a daily basis. So Ovarian Cancer Action have a very good diary online that you can download. And if you want to go and see your GP, you can take that diary with you and show the GP, every day I've had this and that and the other, and you can discuss that with your GP. And I think it will really help getting a formal diagnosis. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a screening tool for ovarian cancer. They're working on it. Ovarian Cancer Action are very passionate about finding a screening tool. But as Gill mentioned before, the CA125 is the only marker really that they can go for. But it seems to do the job initially.
Yeah.
So it's something that they still do use. So, but yeah, it's something that research is looking into.
Yeah.
Just on that, in terms of, you said it's very difficult, a lot of people don't realise they have it, a lot of them don't realise they have it until quite late on. If it's picked up by a blood test, shouldn't it be picked up sooner then, or is it not something they necessarily always look for?
It's not something that they would ask for in a blood test ordinarily. It's not, unless you, even to go in with some of the symptoms, they wouldn't necessarily think, oh, we'll do a CA125 test and see if there's anything going on there. But it may be, I don't know, it could be an idea that perhaps if women present with these kind of issues, that maybe a simple blood test like that might help and might diagnose things sooner.
But CA125 levels can be indicative of endometriosis, for instance. So it isn't necessarily just a marker for ovarian cancer. Like prostate cancer and the PSA levels, that's not always conclusive that the guy's got prostate cancer. It's just an indication, isn't it, really? It helps to diagnose it, but it's not a formal diagnosis.
No,
so
it's just part of the one. I mean, I had an ultrasound scan which diagnosed mine. They sort of thought I maybe had gallbladders or gallstones or gallbladder problems, and and then they did the scan, and within sort of had an ultrasound scan at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and within 2 hours I was having a CT scan too. And then the next thing, the doctor sat next to my bed saying all this to me and going, do you know what I'm trying to tell you? And I said, yeah, you think I've got ovarian cancer? And it was like, wow, from you think you've maybe got problems with your gallbladder to having ovarian cancer, a big step. And then to have to leave the island, and obviously in that time go on your own. You had no visitors, or nobody could go with you to support you, so you were away. I was away for 7-8 days having the operation, and then 3 of those were spent in high dependency unit. And then once I come out of there, I started to come on in leaps and bounds. But of course it was Christmas and there was no patient transfer open, so it was like I probably could have come home on the Monday, but it was Boxing Day equivalent bank holiday, so then it was the Tuesday before I got back to the island. And then from that I didn't see anybody at all to look at me to check anything that had gone on. And then I had an I had a CT scan in April, and then they discovered that it hadn't all been got. I needed to go then for chemotherapy, which was started in June, and I had 1 treatment every 3 weeks and six rounds of, but seemed to do the job, seemed to do the necessary job, and that's the main thing. And I'm still here to tell the tale.
Yes, which is marvellous. So in the UK, 7,400 ladies diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and that might equate to about 10 on the Isle of Man. We're not entirely sure of the exact numbers, but sadly, because women present late, the survival rate is very poor still. It's way behind breast cancer in terms of that. Yeah. So this is something, raising awareness, we want to change. So we're urging ladies out there, if you've got any symptoms, please go to your GP. It's critical.
Is there a more at-risk age of this, or is it kind of be women of any age?
With cancer, the older you get, the more at risk you are. So as you get older, that's when your risk increases. But no, it's not necessarily a young lady's cancer at all. But it can be. It's not out of the question. You can get it at any age.
And just in terms of screening, as I said, with the test isn't necessarily a standard one. Do you think it should be considered part of a standard one alongside smear testing as a regular process, or?
We have asked ovarian cancer about this, and because it's not conclusive, they don't want to call it a screening tool. It's just an additional piece of information that they can work with. But I think a blood test down the line is something that within the next 3 years they're hoping a blood test will come and be a screening tool. So that would be really good.
Oh, that's good to see you're as healthy as you are. And
Well, yes, I feel I'm healthy. I'm hoping I'm healthy. I've got a review with Clatterbridge on the 4th of August. I need to find out from them before I have that telephone call. And what they require of me is a blood test, or is it a CT scan, or what? I'm not aware of that at the moment. And I feel very well in myself. I've been up doing all my housework this morning, and I've been out for a walk and things. I feel that I have to get out every day if I can and do some sort of a walk, even if it's just sort of at lunchtime from work, whiz down Strand Street and do a loop round there and back round. But I always get out and I've gone back to the exercise classes. All right, I probably only do 1 a week now, whereas I used to do 3, and I don't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do them anymore. But yeah, no, I feel good in myself. I feel well. I just wish my hair would grow a bit longer, but hey ho, I can live with what I've got. Yeah.
Oh, you're an inspiration, Jill. You really are.
I try and get the positive spin as much as I can across on it, and just my ambition is to get everybody aware of ovarian cancer, the symptoms, and look after yourself and be aware. And if you don't feel right, go back. And if they don't take any notice, go back again. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Keep fighting and keep going. Yeah. And if we can get a screening tool, fabulous. Yeah, brilliant.